Hi, I'm sharing this video. I won't play it because the recording's not very clear for this mic on this particular computer, so what I'll do is I'll leave you the link to this under this video, and I'm making this video to promote this man and to stand by him. As far as I know, I can't find a name for him. All that's shown here is that he's a Muslim activist. Now, I make a lot of videos covering a lot of issues, a lot of subjects. I'm very outspoken, particularly in regards to so-called Zionism, which I always explain, you know, these people are not Zionists, okay? True Zionists are Rastafarian. They're the Zionists, okay? You couldn't get any further from true Zionism as to what these so-called Zionists actually represent. You are talking, you know, we are talking about a demonology here. So, this demonology that is Zionism does include Muslims, Christians, atheists even, you name it, they're all together in the little conglomerate. They've agreed that the Zionists can be in charge, as it were, as the ultimate leaders of themselves, and they are, you know, well, they have embarked on their plot for the Greater Israel Project. You know, they're going to carve the world up between themselves. Apologies for background noise, there's roadworks here today. So, that's what's going on. Now, if you go through my videos, well, I'll leave the link to one of them if I can find it under here. If not, you know, just go through my videos. I've made a couple of videos, actually, to the Saudi elite, so-called, and in particular, you know, just saying to them about Yemen more recently, like, what are you doing? Are you crazy? You know, spending all these billions on murdering people. Why not spend the billions on improving the lives of your people and creating some sort of sustainable economy outside of oil? Use it to fertilise the deserts, you know, do something with that money other than spend billions to kill your brothers and starve their children, to kill your brothers and sisters and starve their children. And, you know, this man, God bless him, has the courage. He stood up in front of these people and, you know, he's telling them, may you be crushed, you know. How can you lecture us about peace while you boycott and starve your brothers in Yemen and Qatar? Exactly, exactly. And we have the same hypocrisy shown in the Western churches, whether they be Protestant or Catholic, you know, or evangelist or whatever. These people are supporting murder of children, and this is all in keeping with Agenda 21 of depopulation. So, oh, alright, lives are lost. Well, that's alright, that's serving our interests. Oh, people are being driven to suicide through austerity. That's okay, that serves our interests. That's all part of our agenda. Everything that's happening in this world is happening within the remit of Agenda 21 and the Greater Israel Project. Okay? And we are talking about a corporate takeover that will impose corporate communism on the people. And I have explained time and time again in every single video what is being attacked here is our very humanity, and also what has been attacked for a very, very long time is our natural state of being, of life on this planet as socio-capitalists. And what they've done through their shill, Marx, who was employed specifically to divide socialism, to separate socialism from capitalism, and at the same time rip its heart out, which was people's faith in Jesus. Now, whether or not you want to call God the opiate of the masses, certainly God is the opiate of the capitalists when it comes to the godly people that support this present system of corporate capitalism, because corporate capitalism is a completely different entity to capitalism. When you have individual business people who've become quite wealthy, you often find these people are quite philanthropic, and they will invest in their communities, in their workforce. It is because we've lost the individual businessman, you see, or woman, that because they've been gobbled up by these big corporations who are nameless and faceless, and they seek only to satisfy the demands and desires of a board of directors who just want constant profits. They want more and more and more and more each year, and they expect their workforces to be working for less and less and less and less each year, and till they reach the point where they could say, all right, look, we're moving out of America, we're going to employ the workforce of China. We don't care if we're employing kids, if they're working in slave sweatshop for slave wages. We don't care. We just want the cheap goods, and then we'll re-import them into America, and American people can buy them. But of course, if America's not producing anything, there's no jobs really for the people, and the wages are actually in real terms going down and down and down, the American people then have less money to buy these goods that are coming from China. It's called driving down an economy, and with that is a driving down of human consciousness till people are just struggling to keep a roof over their heads, and virtually everyone's one paycheck away from destitution. And then you've got a very insecure, frightened public, and then you can start feeding on their fears, and you can start sowing the seeds of paranoia that then from there flourishes xenophobia, and then you can start bringing out the scapegoats for them to pour their hatred and anger onto, because it's the immigrants. So the people are encouraged to look down on the ground for their source, for the source of their problems. Stamp on the weakest people of your society. Don't hold the corporations to account. Don't hold the business people to account. The men like Donald Trump, who, when given a choice of a workforce to build his buildings, is quite happy to use illegal immigrant labour because it's cheap. You see, he didn't think to himself, oh no, I want to employ American workers and give them a decent wage, like a true patriot. I want to employ American citizens to build my buildings and pay them a proper wage. No, he didn't think like that. So the problem of immigrants stealing people's jobs is actually a non-starter, because they wouldn't be able to steal people's jobs if American business people weren't prepared to employ them. But you see, you don't see the employers ever getting prosecuted. What we see is the illegal immigrants being rounded up, or now, as they arrive at the border, take the children off them. But what right has America got? If America isn't accepting these citizens, what right have they got to remove the children and farm them out hither and thither across America, or house them in, what amounts to concentration camps? That's the evil consciousness of America that this man, this Muslim activist, is speaking out against. And we know that face of America that's being shown in the form of Donald Trump as its representative is Zionist. So it isn't even American. It's so-called Zionist. Okay. Which, as I say, it's a demonology, because that is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with an elitist consciousness that believes in eugenics, that believes that money is the tariff to measure people by, okay, that money is the guide. So people with less money are genetically inferior, and people who manage to get more money are genetically superior, which is just it is completely bizarre. And you know, even right down to measuring intelligence. So you know, they have these IQ tests, and you can't help but notice that quite a few of the people who score very high in IQ tests are shown to be lacking often in common sense, or will participate in very serious crimes. So, you know, what is intelligence? I think we need to redefine our understanding of intelligence, because obviously these Saudi leaders, and you know, the Zionists of Israel and the Zionists of Britain, okay, the Christian far right, all these people, they believe they're following an intelligence, that they believe that what they think is right, they believe their opinions and the plot is good, okay. But what is it that actually measures intelligence? You know, once you drop compassion into it, if compassion becomes included in what's counted as intelligence, then a lot of these people that score high IQ tests right now would actually fail to reach those high levels, you see. Because what we need is compassion. In order for an intelligence to be truly intelligent, it must have the capacity, well, it needs to have the capacity to be able to think outside of itself, to think on behalf of others, to take things into account. That's what an intelligence does, you see. That's why our DNA is intelligently written. All the DNA for life on Earth is intelligently written, in the sense that that creature can survive on this planet, that the DNA takes into account the natural environment and what is to be provided by that environment in that particular area that can sustain this creature. So there's a promise to provide for the life that's being created, and the life that's being created is being created in order to take full advantage of that promise, and in doing so also contribute to life itself. So, you know, the bees take advantage of the pollen, and in doing so they're fertilising the flowers, and so fruits are being created. Without the bees, then there wouldn't be even half as many fruits. So this is the kind of, that's intelligence. Intelligence takes everything into account. So I would say that the present IQ system that measures intelligence is actually defunct, and it is not measuring intelligence. It's measuring a certain type of intelligence, but it is not a real or adequate representation of intelligence. You know, just because somebody scored a high IQ really means nothing, because the IQ test itself is lacking certain intelligence. Do you see what I mean? It's lacking true intelligence, because because in order to measure a human being's intelligence, one needs to fully understand what a human being is. Now, as far as I understand, having experience of Islam and Christianity and Judaism, the concept of Yahweh is an intelligent, compassionate being, or Allah, as the Muslims call Yahweh. Allah is most kind, most merciful, most forgiving, takes everything into account, you see. And the world is living under misinterpretations of the religious texts, I fully understand Islam. I can't explain it all here, but I will try to do that in another video, which I will try to fully explain the nature of Islam as I understand, and as somebody who met with Prophet Muhammad in a dream, and it was a very vivid dream, and that dream came a few months after I'd witnessed universal golden light being, an event of universal golden light being. So I'll leave a video that shares some of the details of that experience right at the start, supernatural or not yet, and you can understand where I'm coming from and why it is I do what I do, and why I have the courage as an individual, impoverished, oppressed individual of Britain, that I do have the courage to speak out, because I have absolute, total faith in the golden light being. I don't believe, it isn't that I think, oh, the golden light being will protect me from the horrors of this world. That's up to me. That's up to me and the people around me who receive what I have to share, who will be encouraged, empowered, or decide, oh right, we're going to get rid of her, you know. But that is the point, is that yes, they might be able to get rid of my physical body, but they will never defeat the golden light intelligence that my physical body is now host to. Not because I'm a saint or I'm a special person, but just simply because of my life's particular life circumstances, where my consciousness led. I was open and receptive to that experience, and could be trusted, actually, not to, you know, start a new religion, because the golden light supports the core belief of the religion, the core faith, the truth of the religion, which is primarily about protecting humanity and raising a healthy, balanced future generation. So I just wanted, you know, to share, to support this man, you know, that I've shared this video, I've shared my own understanding, to give this man absolutely full 100% support, you know, because, and every Muslim of integrity will stand by him and recognise what is going on, that charlatans have taken hold of Islam, just as charlatans took hold of Christianity. You know, the same thing happened to Christianity. What we've got now is a corruption. You know, the church upholds a total corruption of Christianity, to the extent that it is a Luciferian, it is a mock Luciferian cult. Behind the facade of Jesus, what you're dealing with is, you know, human sacrifice, ritual murder, and cannibalism. That is what we're dealing with. That is what Christianity has been reduced to. And when you understand that, you understand why the so-called Christian leaders are quite happy to continue in the sacrifice, continue in the cannibalism, because that's what austerity is. It is literally cannibalism. That's what corporate capitalism is. It's cannibalism. It is eating the people, eating their time, eating their energy, in order for a few people to get very rich and powerful. To do what? To do what? Oh, to bomb the people of Yemen, to bomb the people of Iraq, to fund their corporate militaries. And it's a very serious matter when you've got these private corporate military entities that have huge weapons supplies. We don't even know what weapons they have. They're the ones that are developing them, all on behalf of the bankers. So you're dealing with rogue military forces. How has that happened? Because apparently we had to bomb Saddam Hussein because he posed such a threat because he had undisclosed weapons of mass destruction. Well, what about the undisclosed weapons of mass destruction that these private corporate militaries very likely hold? You know, like Dynacorp, for example. A huge global international corporate military service that's available to hire for anybody really that's got the money to hire it. So what weapons have they got? Where are the weapons inspectors for Dynacorp? Who are they accountable to? Which country, which nation? We are living in very serious times. Now, I'm going to leave a link to a video that I've made recently called Britain, You're Not Paying Attention, or pay attention. Because you need to pay attention, Britain. You need to pay attention. Because right now, in Britain, we are facing some very serious problems, okay? Here we are with The Guardian, and this is from the 19th of June. And, you know, I've just signed a petition today to deal with this, because, you know, there is concern. All these people out on the streets to free Tommy Robinson, which, you know, isn't even his real name. But really, does it matter what his name is? At the end of the day, there's people out there in Britain who feel that this man has been wrongfully arrested. Now, there's lots of people in Britain who are presently suffering wrongful arrest. People who have done nothing except speak out for a child's right to justice, that cited children at risk because they've been denied justice. And, you know, they're in prison because, apparently they're breaking the child's privacy. They're putting the child at risk. They're harassing and intimidating the very children that they know have cited as at risk through the lawful suspicion, and are demanding justice for them. But no, apparently that's harassing and intimidating the children. An offence for which you can be put into prison for up to 5 years or even 10 years. Okay? Never mind the fact that a child's right to safety and justice takes precedence over their rights to privacy. Because what is the use of a child's right to privacy if the very privacy is actually going to prevent them from being protected and for receiving justice? So obviously a child's right to justice takes precedent over their right to privacy if the very privacy actually is preventing them from receiving justice. So we are living with what you call cockeyed thinking, and this anti-Muslim rhetoric is a very serious matter. I mean, what we are looking at is an attempt to turn Britain into another Israel-Palestine. That is what we're looking at. The same thing's happening in America. And, you know, I did warn, a lot of people have warned that over the years, you know, we'll all be Palestinian one day. We'll all know what it's like to live in Palestine. Well, do we want to wait for that? You've seen what's going on in Palestine. Don't think that Britain's going to be any different. You know, military checkpoints all over the place. You're not allowed to go from Manchester to London without going through a series of military checkpoints. Is this what we want? Because this is where this is heading. Now, the people that are caught up in this, I understand they're disgruntled. They've lost everything. They feel marginalised, because that's the way the system has worked, because that is what the system wants. It wants a divided society. So, yes, white people are feeling oppressed like a minority in their own country, and the same with the white people of America. But I'm sorry, Britain is not just a white country, and people need to understand that actually without the people that are here from other countries. Without those people, Britain would have nothing, okay? Britain's wealth is based primarily on exploitation of the colonies, and a few of the people from each of those colonies now reside in Britain, as they have a right to, because they've worked for this country. While our ancestors were slaving for this country, so were they. They're human beings, first and foremost. We are human beings before we are British. And if a British society is not upholding our humanity according to a true comprehension of Jesus as an honest representation of a human male who lives by his compassion, then what is Britain? It's a rogue nation, and it is turning into a Nazi nation. You know, I mean, as it explains here, Nazi salutes are commonplace. Oh, Hitler was a wonderful man, apparently, because he didn't kill 6 million Jews. Alright, I accept the dispute about whether or not 6 million died, but nonetheless, the man did kill Jewish people. He did persecute them and target them. And I don't care what anybody says. Nazism is a horrible, inhumane demonology. It's not an ideology, it's a demonology, like Zionism. And we know for a fact that the Zionists did fund Hitler. They covertly funded him. So, you know, people do need to get real, to wake up and understand, you know, what this man is saying exactly applies to our leaders as well. It exactly applies to our clergy as well. Preachers of falsehood are responsible by your current stance. That goes the same for every single church, for the preachers, for the people in those churches who think that they can live on a cloud. Oh no, we don't have to get involved in politics. No, we're outside of politics. But they are getting involved in politics, because they keep their mouths shut. You won't hear them asking questions. But Jesus did ask questions. Jesus was a very political figure. He was a political figure, as was Prophet Muhammad. They were political figures. They challenged the power structures of their day in a demand for greater care and concern and compassion for the people. Now, as I say, Islam, it's a pack of lies being put around about Islam. But one example of what Prophet Muhammad did, that he actually delivered water to the people 5 times a day. People had water, had a right to access fresh, clean water 5 times a day. That is one of the prime things that Islam did for the people. Because before that, people didn't have access to water 5 times a day. In fact, they were being deprived of water. Water was a very heavily controlled resource. And they had to battle in order to deliver people's rights to water 5 times a day. You know, it does take a higher intelligence, an in-depth understanding and taking everything into account to fully appreciate the intelligence at work within Islam. And it certainly has nothing to do with, you know, giving a man a right to marry an 8-year-old girl. So, I ask people, please, listen to what this man says. The Muslim people of Britain stand by him, and the people of Britain stand by the righteous Muslim people who do live according to a 21st century interpretations of Islam, as Islam requires people to abandon old ways and traditions which new knowledge has proven wrong. So the moderate Muslims, they never did live by these antiquated things that Saudi Arabia still follows. They'd abandoned it all. the Muslim populations were largely socialist. So, well, I would say socio-capitalist, the same as Britain is. You know, the small businessman. But, you know, like I say, they developed Mark to cut a sharp divide between that. So, yeah, you've got a choice of one or the other. Which is stupid. Because we can't live as a half a human being. We need both. And if you're going to cut one off, then, you know, what's going to happen is that if you've got a purely corporate capitalist society, then socialism's going to become a crime, isn't it? So, you know, you're not allowed to give food to the poor. In America, you can be put in jail for giving food to the poor. Or you'll go the totally socialist way and have what amounts to communism. So nobody's allowed to make a profit. Nobody's allowed to own their own business. You see what I mean? Either way, the people are in total control. And then they can fight each other, can't they? Which again is totally stupid, because we can't survive by our left and right hand continually fighting each other. We need to work in cooperation with each other. And we need to take the social needs of the workforce, the social needs of humanity into account. Because if we're not working ultimately on behalf of humanity, who are we working on behalf of? We're working to satisfy the whims of this crazy consciousness that has set a measure for intelligence that is totally defunct. And these so-called intelligent people who are in positions of power are actually stupid and dangerous and criminal. Because you can have people with very, very high IQs who abuse children, who kill, who murder. So how can they have an IQ? There's something wrong with the IQ test that missed this person's innate criminology. And it seems psychopaths have a greater propensity for scoring high IQs. You see. So we are living on totally false premises. The money's false, the religions are false, okay? The interpretations, what is represented as religion is false. Even the image of capitalism we're being presented with is false, because it's not capitalism, it's corporate communism. Everything's false. We know that there's no such thing as royal blood to make a royal family. That's false. Parliament, British Parliament, is totally false. It's not British Parliament. It's Zionist Parliament. That's what it is. It's the Zionist Parliament that entertains a foreign power as its main lobbyist. You know, a foreign power, Israel, Zionist Israel, has more clout with our politicians than any amount of British people on the ground. But who are the British people on the ground clamouring against? Muslims, their fellow neighbours, their fellow citizens, who are equally oppressed by the mad people governing us. But no, we're not going to face the mad people. We'll stand by Tommy Robinson, who says, I am a Zionist, exactly as David Cameron said. We won't stand by this man. No, the British people, you need to wake up, right? Because if you think that our children, what future are you giving them? What future are you giving them? How dare you bring them into the world and not stand up for their rights? How dare you bring them into the world and not stand up for child protection directives? Because you see, if Britain really was, if these people really do want to address the crime, organised crimes against children in Britain, well, I'm sorry, just focusing on the Muslim paedophiles is not helping. Because it isn't just Muslims, is it? If you want to combat Muslim paedophiles, then you need child protection directives, the EU child protection directives. They combat all crimes against children. They work to prevent crimes against children. It doesn't matter whether you're a Muslim, white, whatever, wherever your ethnic background is. Child protection directives are what's needed, not somebody calling himself Tommy Robinson standing outside a court live streaming Muslim, a Muslim child abuse gang, in order to what? To basically promote the idea that most of these gangs, they're all Muslims, and the only reason why they don't get caught is because the authorities don't want to appear to be racist. Yeah, go away. As I've said before, go away with that one. Ask any black person in Britain how many times they've been stopped and searched as teenagers. So, these are very, very, very serious times, and that's why I'm making this video today. That's why I'm sharing this. Please listen to this man, please. And Muslim people in particular, don't be distracted by this far-right extremism that's going on in Britain now. Stand by men like him, okay, that speak on side of the truth of Allah, the truth of God. British people, you stand by your fellow Muslims, the 21st century Muslims who support 21st century interpretation and understanding of Islam, which is very highly refined and far more correct than is presently being represented by nations like Saudi Arabia. And that is where we have a unity. The British people of Britain, we have more in common with our fellow Muslim citizens, okay, in that at least Islam does incorporate Jesus. Jesus is accepted as a prophet of Allah, and they too await the return of Jesus into humanity. Okay, so we have a lot more in common with Muslims than we do with the Zionist rulers that are governing our country, both overtly and covertly, who actually are anti-Christian. Okay, this so-called Zionist demonology is fundamentally anti-Christ. It's anti-Islam, it's anti-Christian. Okay, Jesus spoke out against that consciousness in his day. That is exactly what he was speaking out against. The usurers. That's what Zionists are. They're usurers. They're not Zionists. Rastafarians, they're Zionists. Go and have a look at a true Rastafarian. See, a person of compassion, a person of integrity, a person of wisdom, a person who takes everything into account. These are usurers. They're the same usurers that Jesus was so enraged by that even he was actually resorted to physical violence against them and whipped them out of the temple. Because these people starve children. And that is exactly what Saudi Arabia is doing. In the name of God. And this man has every right to be outraged. And we all need to get outraged. Feel the rage and resolve to address this. Because it is a rage people like myself have lived with for most of our lives. But do you see us going crazy? Setting fires or hurting people? No, because we live by our head. Our heart feels the pain, but we live by the understanding in our head. And what this man is expressing is righteous passion. People might say, oh, he's angry. Oh, he's expressing anger. He's not. He's expressing righteous passion. Because he's feeling the pain of the unrighteousness and the hypocrisy that he's witnessing. And we all need to stand up on behalf of our human rights. Use your human rights. Freedom of speech and expression. That is exactly what it is for. What this man is using that for is exactly what it's for. It isn't. Freedom of speech and expression isn't for people like Tommy Robinson to spread hate and xenophobia on the strength of false premises and actually a false reflection of what is going on in Britain. Because like I say, crimes against children, organised crimes against children, are not solely committed by Muslim gangs, are they? And just because these people are Asian and come from predominantly Muslim countries, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are true Muslims. I mean, look at Britain. Is every white paedophile and every white paedophile gang Christian then? No, these paedophiles, they know no divisions. They're all after the same thing. Children. Our children. So, you know, God bless to this man, and big love to him and his family, and to all the people who take courage and who have faith to stand up for what is right, to speak out, because we are the last living line of defence now as to what kind of a future our children can expect, okay? And either they're going to live a life in debt slavery under the rule of corporate communism that does want to reduce the human population to under 500 million. Do not make any mistake about that, okay? You're talking about a consciousness that was quite happy to experiment on Japan with its 2 nuclear weapons and instantly incinerate tens of thousands of men, women and children and babies. That consciousness has not altered. We've all witnessed the impact of 9/11. If people don't realise by now that what's been told to us about 9/11 by official sources is an absolute pack of lies, then I don't know what planet you've been living on. Who did that? Who did it? It wasn't Muslims. It had to be insiders within the American military, within the government, within the intelligence. It had to be. Who has benefited from 9/11? Most in this world. Oh, Israel. What did Netanyahu say? Israel is benefiting from one thing now. The attacks on 9/11. Okay? This man, he is a true Muslim. He's a true Muslim. This is a true Muslim. And this is exactly what America, the Zionists, want to. The so-called alleged Zionists, the usurers. That is exactly what they're trying to oppress. They are trying to kill the child of Islam. They do not want this voice out. And that's why they're oppressing it with their version of Islam, ISIS. The version of Islam that they supported by establishing the present ruling Saudi so-called elite, who were known throughout the Middle East as Daesh, their form of Islam. They killed Prophet Muhammad's grandson. That form of Islam. Okay? And in my dream, Prophet Muhammad was sitting with the Sufis. And Sufism is the most oppressed faction of Islam. It always has been, because they stand by the truth, you see. They seek the depths of Islam. They seek to understand the true message of Islam. But most people, you know, the leaders, they just stick to the surface that suits them, the surface that was written by the hands of man. But your light shining there, like stepping stones. There's 12 points of Islam that teaches people the truth, okay? And it's time. It's time. Intelligence is needed. Intelligence needs to rise. Compassion needs to be made our head cornerstone of our law, of our society, of everything we do. Our financial system needs to include compassion. And at the moment it doesn't. And that is illegal. And this man is absolutely right. You know, it does lead to what is going on in Yemen. It does lead to what is going on throughout the world right now with this austerity. It does lead to total chaos. And no, you won't get peace. You won't get peace. You could free Tommy Robinson tomorrow, so what's going to happen? What do these people hope to achieve? Do they hope to do to Muslims of Britain what's being done to the people of Palestine? Are we going to kick them out of their homes? Force them into refugee camps and we'll take over their homes and their businesses? Is that what is behind this? Theft, a desire to steal off people. What do the Tommy Robinson supporters hope to achieve with their rhetoric, if not civil war in Britain, and put every single child at risk and everything that we have worked for, that my grandparents sacrificed their lives for? So, like I say, love and God bless to everybody. And please do watch this video, share it widely, not my video, okay, this man's video, watch it, share it widely, because this world is very short at the moment on true sense and sanity. So God bless to everyone.